Every time a white person shoots a cop, we hear about it here first on this YouTube channel. Lots of the trolls love to come in here and remind us, white people do it too, Colin.
A lot of white people commit crime as well.
No, well, here's the truth. The black harassment, black violence, black threats, black murder against cops is still wildly out of proportion. And here are just a few recent examples.
A day after violence rocks a Southwest Georgia community, claiming the life of one police officer and critically wounding his best friend.
The perpetrator of these heinous crimes against law enforcement is not here.
The frantic search for their alleged killer comes to a dramatic end.
I'm just glad that it's over with, glad it ended without anybody else getting hurt or killed.
Now, as investigators try to figure out exactly what went wrong, a rattled community is now tasked with piecing itself back together. The alleged gunman accused of shooting two police officers in Americus yesterday is dead.
11 alive. Ron Jones was in Americus today for the dramatic finish to the search, and he spoke with people who knew the gunman. He joins us now with what he's learned.
Yeah, guys, it's been really tough for this community, not only for law enforcement, for neighbors as well. As you pointed out, suspect confirmed dead. However, the investigation continues. I'm right here on Allen Street. As you look over my shoulder here, you can see America's police. They're still working this crime scene because we're being told the focus was on a house right down the street.
But the perpetrator of these heinous crimes against law enforcement is not here.
After a 24-hour manhunt, the GBI confirms Minquel Kennedy Limbrick is dead.
When he wreaked havoc on this community.
Investigators say Limbrick was responsible for shooting America's police officer Nick Smar and Georgia Southwestern State University officer Jody Smith. Police say Smar and Smith were responding to a domestic call when Limbrick fired multiple shots and then escaped. A $70,000 reward was being offered for his capture. Hours later, he was found here on Allen Street. Police say an anonymous caller dialed up the reward tip line.
The caller actually knew the gentleman and was there when he came to the house.
The SWAT team swarmed.
As the first responding officers were getting there, they heard what sounded like a gunshot inside the residence.
Officers closed in and made entry.
They found one suspect inside who was deceased from what appeared to be a self-inflicted gunshot wound.
Officers say the threat to the community was finally over.
Well, he was a good guy in my book. I ain't never had a problem with him, man.
But those who knew and grew up with Limbrick say they never saw this type of anger in him.
He was a sweet little boy.
But he was a very dangerous individual. He was a convicted felon, and he had a criminal history record of 32 pages.
Now that the case is closed, the difficulty of processing it for the officers left behind begins.
We've been very, very busy the past 48 hours, and we've had work to do, and we've had a mission. And now that that mission is over, this is where it becomes hard.
Here's a live look once again. America's Police Department, they're still processing this scene. Confirmed Nick Smar, Officer Nick Smar, confirmed dead. Jody Smith is still fighting for his life. You know, I spoke with the police chief here in for America's Police Department, and he says when they're working the scene, they're looking for the bad guy, they're looking for the suspect, they're really caught up in strategic procedures, making sure they, do everything they're supposed to do to capture the suspect. Now that he is confirmed dead, comes the challenge of counseling. Not only counseling the officers, but they said that they're going to provide counseling for the suspect's family as well.
Ron, do we know at this point whether it's been determined if that caller, in fact, will get the reward money?
Yeah, we were told by the GBI that caller will, in fact, get that $70,000, the anonymous caller. Of course, we asked if they could provide us more information about the caller. They said they can't do that right now. But yes, it is confirmed that individual will get the reward money.
Ron Jones beginning our coverage in Americus, Georgia this afternoon. Ron, thank you. The two officers at the heart of this case, 25-year-old Nick Smar and 26-year-old Jody Smith, were best friends. Both men graduated from Americus Sumter High School in 2009, and they got their first jobs 4 years ago. Smith most recently served as an officer with Georgia Southwestern State University, their police force. Smar was sworn in as an America's officer last year. The two responded to that domestic call Wednesday morning together. Smar was on his way to the scene when Smith decided to help his friend.
Yeah. Because to me, he ain't do no wrong, just shot a cop.
Hills man is accused of using a Cincinnati police officer's own taser on him during an arrest. Deshaun Coleman faces felonious assault, aggravated robbery, tampering with evidence, drug and gun charges. According to court papers, police were looking at Coleman as part of a drug investigation. At some point, they say Coleman ran from them. He's accused of tossing a gun in a baggie of crack cocaine. As an officer caught up with Coleman, he deployed his taser twice, but investigators say Coleman was able to punch the officer, take the taser, and use it on the officer. The officer stepped back and drew his gun to get Coleman in custody. Today, a judge ordered Coleman locked up on a $160,000 bond.
Begin with breaking news. Surveillance video just obtained by 41 Action News shows the man police believe opened fire on an off-duty officer. We've highlighted it. You can see the suspect firing several shots at the officer last night near 111th and Blue Ridge Boulevard, police say. The officer was not hurt. If you have any information, call police.
And this video is from Kansas City, where a black guy stops a car, gets out. You can see when he runs around the side of his car, you see him reaching into his pocket, grabbing a gun. He unloads the gun into a car with a off-duty cop protecting a church load of 50 people, and then drives away. They're still trying to find that guy.
Yeah. Because to me, he ain't do no wrong, just shot a cop.
You know, the big buzzword now is fake news. We've been exposing fake news here for quite some time. I don't think there's any bit of fake news bigger than the story we've talked about here many times. It came from a bunch of congressmen from the Black Caucus, but we've since seen it kind of disseminate all over the country and from activists to other elected officials. It's when people say the only reason there's more crime among black people is over policing. If you took the cops out of black neighborhoods and put them in white neighborhoods, you would get the same amount of crime, the same amount of arrests. And that's the only reason why black criminality is so wildly out of proportion, because white cops are always picking on black people for no reason whatsoever. That, of course, is one of the lies supporting the biggest lie of our generation, the hoax of black victimization, and how black people are relentless victims of relentless white racism all the time, everywhere. That explains everything, especially why cops are always picking on black people for no reason whatsoever. When the Trump gang takes over the Justice Department, I think they're going to be shocked at how much what we just said is really part of the DNA of the Department of Justice. That cops are not the good guys, but cops are really the bad guys, creating all this crime and violence against otherwise innocent black people. It should be interesting to see what happens when somebody starts undoing that, start taking some of these wacky ideas off the table. I don't like to get into the business of predicting the future, but it's hard to see how that's not going to make some black kids angry.